Hello everyone, I'm Chloe Johnson and welcome to this fresh business thinking webinar series, Lockdown Learning for Businesses, supported by BT. BT Skills for Tomorrow aims to empower businesses and their employees with the digital skills to help grow their business. The Skills for Tomorrow website includes free learning content that small businesses and their employees can access at any time on topics such as promoting your business with online advertising, making sure your customers can find you online, and much more. To find out more, you can click on the link in the comments. Coronavirus is continuing to be a challenge for small businesses and entrepreneurs across the UK. The outbreak leaves an overwhelming uncertainty into the future for business owners, but this is a time when as a business community, we need to come together and support one another. And we're lucky enough to work with organisations and individuals who are passionate about supporting entrepreneurs during this difficult time. One of those is our speaker today, Rachael Flanagan, founder of Mrs. Buckét Commercial Cleaning Services. Rachel's drive for success has taken her on an award-winning path to create and run a multi-million-pound business throughout South Wales and the southwest of England. Starting with just £20 in a mop, 14 years on, Rachel's business employs over 250 people and continues to grow. Today, Rachael will discuss the grit needed to start a business, the importance of agility in times of a crisis, and the future for entrepreneurs post-COVID. Rachael will also discuss how COVID-19 changed her business plans and insight for business owners on how to get back to work safely when necessary. Rachael will be talking for around 40 minutes and then we'll have some time for Q&A. If you do have any questions, you can leave them in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen and we'll do our best to get to them later on in the session. That's all from me for now, and I'll pass over to you, Rachael.
Hello, everyone. I am just going to switch on. I've got a bit of a PowerPoint that I wanted to show you some pictures and things on the way. So I'm just going to go on to that now. So hope everyone's okay. Hope you've been safe and well and with your family and everything, obviously with these crazy times that we are in. For me today, I don't know if anybody did see online, but I've had a bit more of a normal day, and I even had a McDonald's, a cheeky McDonald's, which was amazing. So I'm in a good mood. I'm looking forward to speaking to you all. Any questions or anything like that, we can go through that at the end. But I wanted to take you back. I'm 33 years of age now. I've got a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, I'm married, I live in Swansea, and I'm going to take you back to the earlier days. So I'm going to go through with you today my journey, my personal journey, the ups, the downs, everything that people probably don't see or speak about behind the scenes as well. And how being agile has helped me. So you will see that quite a lot throughout my journey on where, you know, agility has absolutely helped me and drive me to the next stage of my business. What the future holds, so what the future holds for myself and for the cleaning industry, and what, if you're returning back to work, what type of measures and things you need to be thinking of as well. But I've been told that there's a lot of SMEs on here, so I'm going to really try and scope my talk around to help you on that, and I'm going to go into this. So this is me, first year comprehensive school, where a lot of people sort of said, you know, how did it all start for you? So this picture for me, this photo, reminds me of when I had my first shop when I was in school. I was so excited to get my shop that I actually opened it up to my street. So my dad is from the catering market. He brought home a till one day, like a full-on proper till, you know, with the receipts and everything, and the noises that a till makes, and the big old ones that you used to have. And that's where I got my idea to set up a shop. So I kicked my dad out of his office, and he took me to Buckét, where I got all my sort of sweets, my paper bag and everything. And that's where I probably learned the lesson of I just loved helping people. I loved to I love the creative skill of doing something to make money as well, and probably a little bit of advertising as well. And that was when I actually employed my first ever cleaner, which I used to pay one of my schoolmates 50p once a week to come and hoover the shop, which was honestly really, really tiny. And yeah, so that's kind of where it started for me. I used to do a lot of swimming and things when I was young, and you know, my coach always had a saying of, you're the first one in the water and you're the last one in the water. You don't just win races by, you know, just turning up and kind of winging it. And I've always thought about that in my business journey as well, like the times where I've had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't afford people to do my books, to work on the business, to do my marketing. I think there was a lesson there that I kind of carried on through my business journey. So that was kind of the first stage. And then I went to go sign in college. I was really, really confused, to be honest. I felt that I was a bit different to everybody else and I wanted different things, but I didn't quite know what that looked like. Fortunately, my mum had a cleaner. I was 18, going back and forth in my little KA, and my mum's cleaner let her down. And then I started to kind of do a bit of extra cleaning for some pocket money, because I always had a job back then. It was something that I always loved, doing different things. And when I was sitting my business A levels, I had this idea that there must be loads of other mums, loads of other parents out there. And I basically wrote, I suppose, my business plan in my A levels. I was so excited, so passionate, so driven to make a business out of the cleaning that, you know, to be honest with you, I didn't even think about my exams. I just threw myself into it. And I remember going to pick up the qualifications. I've never to this day gone and picked up the certificates, but you know, like when you have the qualifications, the A levels back then, you had to tear open the top. And I remember looking at it thinking, shit, you know, I've got U and N classified, and all my friends were kind of like laughing and, oh my God, what are you going to do? But in my mind, I was like, well, I'm going to set up my own cleaning company. And this is where it all happened. So I was 18. I got myself £20 worth of flyers, and literally every single night, every single morning, every weekend, I'd get my friends in my car, I'd go around flyering. Like, we still talk about some of these stories now, just the things that really, the real grit that I had to do. I used to think, right, because this was for domestic cleaning at the time, and I used to think, right, where do my customers hang out? Who are they? They're mums, they're professionals. And I always used to get like a bit of a shape in my head of what type of house did they used to live in. Always used to drop flyers off in the shops and the schools, and that's where it goes. So even though that photo is really cringe now, I'm very proud of that, because that is, you know, they are the early days. They are the real grit days. You know, starting a business with literally 20 quid has been very, very tough. And back then you couldn't borrow any money. I lived at home. I had no assets, like nothing. So yeah, so that takes me back quite a bit. So the business then, I just waited for the calls to come in. Unfortunately, they did. While my friends were in university, having a whale of a time, and I was still trying to be, you know, an 18, 19-year-old as well. But I was working probably about 60, 70 hours a week. I was living at home. And when I reached then about 21, I was purely only doing the house cleaning market. When I was 21, I had about 20 staff working for me, and I got in touch with, I met a business mentor So I couldn't afford a business mentor, like to actually pay him a retainer, but it came from a networking event. I went to a FSB local event in Swansea, and this is where it's all about connections, being yourself as well, and being genuine. There's a real positive to be vulnerable, because I was vulnerable then. I was 21. I had no idea kind of what the business world I was going to go into. But this was another amazing connection for me, was meeting this business mentor that really, really believed in me. So as you can see, the workshop here, that whole workshop was not mine. The tiny little window that you can see there, that brown bit, that was my first ever office. And honestly, I thought that was amazing. I remember, on so many occasions, I didn't have enough money to put in the meter, and the cleaners would come every Friday for the little brown pay slips and things. And they were really hard times, to the point where there was times where I had to answer the phone in head office, and I was the accounts lady at the end of it. I was the office manager. I was still cleaning full time. I was pricing jobs. But what I loved about that office, and this is something I now have in our head office, is I could not afford anything because I didn't have loans, or I never used to borrow money. So what I would do is I would work out. I'd have this huge chart. I'm happy to send a photo out later on, but I had this really big chart, like a bullseye, and on it I worked out how many hours of cleaning I would need to sell to achieve, say, a van, or to achieve a part-time office manager. And that is honestly, visually, how I built the business in the early days, from nothing. So then when I was 21, 22, the business mentor put me into some national awards. Again, it was free entry. He said to me, "Do you realize how unique you are to be a 21-year-old female employing 20 staff? We need to kind of spread this story, inspire more people that you can start a business from nothing." And I remember the lady coming down from London, coming to interview me and stuff, and she came to this office, and I was so nervous, and I just thought, right, I've just got to be myself, and she interviewed me. She asked me everything that I wanted to achieve with the business, and I had so much drive and energy that she went back to London, and I thought, oh my God, all I've done there is just talk at her. And then a couple of weeks later, a really posh envelope come through, like a hard stamped back on it. And I remember opening it at first because it was not a bill, because I'm so used to having bills and late payments and all sorts coming through. And I opened it up, and it said that you're in the finals and we're inviting you to Claridge's in London. So just think about that for a minute, of how powerful that is, that story, because from meeting someone in a business networking, being authentically yourself, and them getting on with you and really seeing something in me that I did not see myself, then he took the time to write an award entry. And then within 3 months later, I'm in Claridge's in London, completely out of my comfort zone, absolutely 21. But yeah, it was a big moment, because when we arrived there, so we could take 4 or 5 people with us. So I took him, Dan, who's my husband now, my mum came, my dad had to stay back in the hotel room with my sister because I didn't have enough tickets, and obviously the business mentor came. So as you walk into the Claridge's ballroom, it was amazing. The black and white tiles on the floor and huge velvet curtains, and they had bathroom assistants and things giving you perfume and all sorts, and they had massive champagne bottles being poured. Probably haven't been to an award ceremony like that still. It was an amazing experience. So I was sitting at the back of the room, again, self-doubt, my mind talking to myself, going, "Oh, you're never gonna win this." So I went to the bathroom, the toilets, and I was speaking to the bathroom assistant, and then my mum comes running through then shouting, "You've won, you've won." I ran then back through the black and white tiles, pulled back that velvet curtain, and everybody in that room stood up and applauded. And that was a really big moment for me. That was a moment where I felt that I didn't belong in the business community, and I realized it was in my head. And I really then after that started to work on my mindset, because I was the youngest person in that room. I'd won the UK National Entrepreneur Awards out of 1,400 people, and everything just changed for me afterwards. The power of PR, that was a huge lesson. So you've just got to put yourself out there. So I was on ITV News, GMTV. This photo makes me laugh because I had to do so many cringe photo shoots. But when I look at this now, I just think, God, woman on a mission. And that's why I'm so passionate in helping entrepreneurs and young entrepreneurs, because if you get rid of that voice in your head and you start really believing, yes, do you know what, I bloody belong here, then it's so amazing what you can achieve. And we all go through setbacks. I went into that room thinking I did not belong, and it all changed. So there's something that I do every time I go to Paddington now. I always buy a new fresh notebook to write down all my ideas. It's something that I've always done since here. And the next day when I was coming back, I wrote down every single thing that I needed to stop doing. I needed to stop cleaning. I really needed to stop selling time for money if I wanted to grow the business the way that I wanted it to grow. And having this PR, this spotlight, it was amazing. Then I joined the Entrepreneurs Circle with Nigel Botterill, and he taught me marketing, sales, and all about, I read the book, The Purple Cow, and it's all about being the purple cow in your marketplace. Have the balls to stand out, be different, create your own path, forget about your competition, because really it's a privilege if they start copying you, but always be that purple cow. How do you set your brand differently? How do you set your marketing differently? How do you show up differently as well as a leader in your organization? Because, entrepreneurs, I believe, are like Marmite. You either love them or you hate them. True entrepreneurs are like that because they're a bit extreme, they're a bit nuts. But, it's helped along the way. So since then, we then went through huge growth. We were then expanding into the commercial market and winning awards. If you're in young entrepreneur categories, it was an amazing time to be young in business, to be a female as well in a male-dominated marketplace. So we just went for it. We moved offices, we upgraded our team. But again, there was real big consequences that came then afterwards for growing too quick. So that's what we did. So we grew too quick. Probably about 4 years ago, I had a baby, and I probably went through a really difficult time without realizing it at the time. I didn't have the right team around me, and everything started to crash and burn down. I was a new mum. I found it really difficult. Obviously, my first baby was being an entrepreneur, was my Mrs. Buckét business, and I couldn't handle it. So I took some time out, and I took real time to look after myself, something that I've learned since then of how important you are. You are the number one person in your business, and in your life. Without looking after yourself, no one else will run. So I really started to learn about personal things then as well, psychology, and more of, I'd thrown everything into my business life that I probably had neglected my personal life as well. So I started to have more balance, but to do that, I needed to change my team as well. So I went through pain. I went through lots of processes and systems changes, because every couple of years a business will go through that, and you will, you know, the saying of, are people on the bus for the journey, but sometimes you do need to, in the nicest way, get them off the bus as well. It's time to exit them, because you need a different level, a different strength in your business to take you to that next level. So that was the stage that I was in then 3.5 years ago. So probably took about 6 months, a year off to do that and look after myself, and learn from all those personal issues. And then we started to really look at our marketing on a bigger level. So we sent out really quirky marketing campaigns. We always do this. I love it. You know, it probably annoys some people, but I love the marketing stuff that we do. So we send out fake money in the post, because we're going to save you time with your cleaning companies. You know, lots of different things. Sending out cakes, and we've got like white glove campaigns. We'll send out white gloves in the post. Kit Kats, take a break, sunglasses, put your sunglasses on, ready for when we come in to clean your offices. And we were fully cleaning, commercial cleaning then as well. We also sold our domestic side of the business. That was something that was a really big thing for me. I just couldn't let it go. And then when I went through all my personal things, I just knew I was hanging on to my past, that I suppose those early beginning stages, but it was time, because I was ready to step up and move to the next stage. And I knew if I wanted to really, really focus on the commercial and the facilities market, it was, you know, it was like running 2 different businesses. So we sold that. And again, it was all about learning. So that was my biggest thing, was to always work on yourself. And even reflecting back now, because it's 15 years now, I've been running the business, we've got 300 members in our team, £3.5 million turnover. We're due to grow, going through a really, really big growth stage now over the next 2 years. So we're doing lots of changes behind the scenes. But mindset is such a big thing. You know, you create a business of what's in your head. If you can work on that, your mindset, you can achieve so much. And also it's getting rid of energy vampires around you. Just get rid of them, or, you know, stop hanging around with them, because the difference that it makes in your network with people who have really positive mindset is amazing. So this is our big goal now, to be the UK's first choice commercial cleaning company, nationally recognised as the cleaning industry pioneers. One of my personal goals is to be in the top 100 companies to work for. So we're really striving ahead now to push for that. And then we've hit I've called it the battle against COVID. So it's certainly tested my leadership skills, and working from home, you know, with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and you know, trying to just balance life as well has been challenging for everybody. But we've been really agile. We've made quick decisions. We've acted on things maybe that would have taken us 6 months to do. We've done it within 2 months. And we have taken risk in this time. We've done probably the opposite to what most companies have done. And we knew it would be safe, but we didn't quite know what the future held, was going to hold. So we took a risk where we invested in loads of fogging machines, which and ride on sanitizers and things. And that was a really, really great investment, because now we work all over the UK. We're a 24/7 operation. So it's just given us so much confidence. And actually, for me personally, it's really been brilliant to see the team step up as well. But it's definitely felt like a battle. So we have created a new service now, which is sanitizing offices, places like, we've also been doing work with the Royal Mail as well. And we've picked up opportunities in COVID, but we've also put ourselves out there through these times, and we've helped lots of organisations just by giving them free advice, getting on the calls for people, doing free Zoom calls for facilities, and just genuinely helping. So that's been a really, really good move for us. And I think the future now of the business is all about our future expansion. So our UK expansion is going to be next in our plans. Now we cover Bristol, Cardiff and Swansea. So our marketing has been more online focused. So we've learned lots of things there, but we still have done our quirky things, for certain sites where it's worked well. But yeah, so the business growth now, we're looking to employ around another 300 people over the next 2 to 3 years. At board level as well, I brought in a board. So that was a really, really great investment for us. And even if you're a small business owner, I still think having that monthly check-in time or your accountability partner is so, so important to do. Because that's the thing that keeps moving your business all the time. So if you're returning to work now, the things that we're recommending on doing obviously is cleaning and sanitizing, is touch point cleaning throughout the day, depending on what type of, if you're working in a manufacturing site or a large warehouse, is constant. So that needs to be, if you're a 24/7 operation. I really, really think so our vision for the business is to change the perception of the cleaning market, to not, maybe in the past cleaners have been looked down upon. I've personally felt that, and that's why it's part of it. It is our vision. And I believe now that having more presence from the cleaning teams is absolutely critical for business owners and senior management to put in place, because it just shows the safeguarding to your staff. You would obviously do a risk assessment as well of your site to make sure that, is there any hotspot areas? You're gonna probably change your shift patterns, put one-way systems in and everything. But from a cleaning point of view, you need to be making sure that you've got the right kit, the right chemicals in place as well. Public Health of England state that you should have an EN 14476 a product that you should be disinfecting the virus with. So that's something that you really need to be checking with if you're using a cleaning company or you're doing it yourselves. You've got the right people in your organisation who've got the right mindset. So everybody is involved in cleaning and sanitizing, not just the cleaning team. And you've got, sanitizers around the place and things. Obviously, if you are a larger organization or where you've got more investment, then you can invest in sanitizing and fogging and monthly services. And we've sourced a 30-day chemical to achieve that. So it's got a 30-day coverage, and that's one of our USPs now in Wales. But if anybody does want more information, then I have written a guide on this as well. So so that's the return to work. There's a lot more information if you need it. I can send that out for you as well. So to recap, going through my journey, all the ups, the downs, and reflecting back, I think I wouldn't change it. It's been a long process at times, and I think if I had certain times the right people around me when I really needed them, then I maybe would have done things quicker. But I know that now. So I think our next 3-year journey is going to be very, very exciting. Being agile has helped me, like always. I feel, pivoting in your business, if you see an opportunity and it fits right for you, then you should go for it. But I like to always think that you've got a ring around you, when you were a kid and you have those rings. And every single time that you learn or you do something to take yourself out of that comfort zone, you're stepping over that ring and you're expanding it every single time. So just to put yourself around the right people, to be learning, but actually actioning it. Like there's so many people that I know that say they're going to do stuff and they still haven't done it. And that's the difference. It's better to start something that's good enough. That's what I say to my team. It needs to be a 6 or a 7 out of 10. We're not going for a 10 out of 10. We're just going for a 6 or 7 just to get it going. And, I think that's a really big thing. So the future holds for us, it's expansion. We're working now in the public sector more, expansion plans into that, more accreditations to really push and drive the business, but you're only as good as your team. So investing in your team, really, really respecting your workforce as well, and having fun on the way, like really, really having fun, and celebrating those wins, because us entrepreneurs don't always look back and give ourselves a tap on the back. But I think for me, COVID has really, really been powerful for that. And then I'm talking to you then about the return to work for your sanitizing, the chemical, the EN 14476, and I just think, what's the worst that can happen? You're better to start your dream and own your dream if that's what you truly, truly want to do, because also failure is fine. I've had so many knockbacks, so many failure times in my business, and actually that's been the making of me, because it's stretched me and it's made me learn for next time. So if a girl from when I was 18 that was told, what on earth are you going to set up a cleaning business for? You failed your business A levels. Then if I can do it, anybody can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. That was great. Let's take a look at some of the questions we've had come in. So the first one is from Matthew, who says, "Hi, Rachel. Thank you for sharing your story. If you could go back in time to when you first started, what would you tell yourself?"
Somebody asked me this question the other day, and I said to get out of my own way, because I think the more you speak to yourself in your mind, the more you actually, the more you stunt your own growth. And I think getting out of your own way and putting yourself out there and removing your ego or whatever you've got, then that's I wish I actually done more of that sooner, because I think it really would have helped me. And it's so powerful when people have stories, because we're people at the end of the day. So putting yourself out there, getting out of your own way.
The next one is come through anonymous. "Returning to work is worrying for some members of my team. How would you reassure them?"
Okay, so depending on what type of business that you've got, I think communication is key. So really trying to think about how are you communicating with your staff. Like there's so many different ways now that even top leadership teams can communicate. Like we do a Facebook group, we do a weekly video for our cleaning teams to see us and engage with us. So I think it's encouraging. I also think it's really good for if you've got some of your workforce that have already gone back, for them to engage as well, because we learn from listening to others that have been there. And I think it's more of the safeguarding piece. So telling them over and over again, what are you doing? What's your cleaning routine? Like maybe even do like a little video in the office to them to see that you're physically there. And this is what we put in place, guys. Depending on how big of an organization you are. If you're much larger, then you'd have health and safety teams and risk teams helping you. But if you're a smaller office, then I think over communication more than anything, and in video, I think that's really powerful, because then they can see you and they can see that emotion.
Next one is from Hannah. How did you shift from selling your time to selling everyone else's? What steps did you take?
So I definitely had to step back. So I was fortunate, I was living at home, but to be honest with you, within 4 weeks, I'd achieved so much more, because if you think, like I was cleaning probably about 40, 50 hours minimum a week, and then all the other stuff on top. I was so open to, you know, having things come to me then where, you know, I'm a huge believer in that, where if you leave space in your life for stuff, then it comes your way. And I needed more sales. That's what I needed. So I had done my numbers with what was my gap. So when I had my board, I knew for me to obviously earn back my salary, how many hours of cleaning I needed to sell. So I had my own sales target. And like, you need to have targets in your business, you know, even if you're on your own, you still need to have KPIs, because then you can measure it weekly and monthly. And that was quite a big transition for me, because I had so much drive then to go and get that number, that sales number, that within 4 weeks I actually did do it. And then it rolled then afterwards. But marketing, really making sure your brand is clear, putting yourself out there again, like being really clear who your prospects are. And even having, like, we've got in our company client avatars. So we've got, you know, Derek, who's a facilities manager. This is what he does. This is where he hangs out. This is his age. And then we go and target those people. So the more clear you are behind the scenes on who your target market is, the quicker you will go after them.
Next one is from Emily. How would you recommend training your staff on company values and introducing the right mindset to your whole team?
Okay, so depending again what size business you've got, and we've got a talent manager and stuff now, so it's very different. But in the early days, I would literally get in a room with people, I'd put values up on the board. I think, like, if you're a passionate leader, people buy into you. People want to come and work for their leader. Like, go and choose a boss who you want to work with, is what we always say, not the company. It's all about the people within the business. So when we do our vision and values back then, we would get like our values up on the board, and we'd get buy-in as running a workshop, and then we'd ask them to basically tell us what types of behaviors you do. Give us a story of how you show up to be innovative. And we do some coaching and stuff with them. So that's what we were doing. We now do it where we have posters in the cupboards, constantly putting it on things. We're going through a change of our vision and values now. So we're rolling out quite a lot of communication on this, but making sure it's documented everywhere. If you do a monthly video, that's something that I do for my team, then always open or close with your vision and your values, and lead by example. If people are not, you know, coming in your organization and they're not standing and they're not adhering to your values, then you need to give a message as well, because that's really powerful. If you overlook people that are not demonstrating and living to your values, even if they are a great worker, then you need to do something about that. And you know, I think again, it's constant communication And the more you can get your face out there, which is amazing now with technology, then that also helps on the vision and the values as well, and how people show up for you.
The next one has come through anonymous. Great story, very inspiring, and agree with you on communication. It sounds like you are, but are you optimistic about the future?
I'm very optimistic about the future. I hope I have, because we're putting a lot of our budget aside for our future. We're going through a brand refresh, which is a really big project for us, and we're launching that on our 15th year birthday. It's a massive chunk of money for us, because we're rebranding the whole business, our fleet, our people, our offices, our whole new website. So I've definitely got to be optimistic to do that. But I also think about being the purple cow. So that's why that's really important for me. So yeah, I'm optimistic, but I definitely think if people are not out there and they're not creating noise, then you're going to get forgotten about. And now is the time to really kind of step up, because it will never go back to what it was, but you've got to adapt. You've got to be, you've got to be agile, and you've got to change your marketing or your approach and your messaging. But if you're not putting yourself out there, no one's going to ever find you.
The next question is from Dolly. What advice would you give to someone just starting out their cleaning business? People say cleaning business is a saturated market. What advice would you give to be a successful one and to stand out?
Okay, so some quick wins for me. So I don't know if you're doing a domestic or a commercial or a different type of cleaning service. So definitely your marketing, your brand, be niche. So be different, and only work with certain types of clients, and have that in your mind, and then create the marketing plan to go after those clients, because then you'll attract them what you really truly want. So for us, we only used to take on a minimum of 3 to 4 bedroom houses, because we didn't want to mess about in the nicest way with flats or monthly and fortnightly cleans. So we focused on the larger end. We knew our probably our inquiries would be a lot less, but we were okay with that, because we were going after quality, not quantity. So that's something I learned very, very early on. In actually, you're better to work smarter, have less clients in the domestic market. We had about 300 clients in the end. So we learned a lot of lessons there. Another thing was really think about the customer journey, because the retention of your clients in any service business is massive. You don't want to be losing clients if you can help it. You really want to make sure that you're having regular surveys, you're checking in with them, like you're really treating it as customer service, because it's much more expensive to go and get another client rather than retain them. And that's how you build on top. It's all about the retention, your foundations of a service business for whatever types of cleaning that you're doing. And then the third one was, I would say you've got to have a quirky brand, adapt it and mold it to your customer avatar, and really go after them. But you've got to be, as I say it, the purple cow. You've got to be different. You've got to stand out from the crowd. There's loads of cleaning companies out there. So making sure that you've got really good testimonials online as well, and approaching them in that way and having a good marketing plan.
The next one is from Darren. You mentioned the bullseye target strategy. What would you say are the key sales strategies that drive a small business, and how do you roll with the highs and deal with the lows?
Okay, so I didn't have like things that we've got now, which is amazing. We've got like VAs now, virtual assistants, we've got bookkeepers. None of this really existed, to be honest, 15 years ago. So what I would do if I was setting up a small business now for sales is I would get all of the stuff that does not make me any money in the nicest way. Like I'd outsource my accounts, I'd get that done. I would focus on sales and marketing myself, because I would, be pushing that if I didn't have the budget. So be part of that brand, really making sure that you're driving that. If you're a good salesperson, normally lots of business owners and entrepreneurs are, because we're so passionate. But anything that just costs you, drains your time, you hate doing it, then you should outsource it. Even if it's, to begin with, a family member or a friend helping you. I wouldn't always recommend employing friends and family, but at the very, very early stage, you want to be focusing on, right, I know that every hour of my time, if I focus on sales, I can achieve this in the business. Networking, putting yourself out there, doing videos, getting on social media, asking for help as well. In the early days, I just asked for coffees and lunches with people. And what's the worst that can happen? 1 in 5 say no or yes. And just being yourself and really asking for help, because there is, a lot of good out there in business owners. And I think if you're in the right network and you ask for help, then that's really good. LinkedIn is amazing as well. If you do quirky marketing, I think marketing and sales now is all like kind of joining together more. So it's really making sure you're tapping into all your online marketing and your online stream as well. But yeah, we didn't have half of this before. Virtual assistants are amazing now. They can do so much and on budget as well.
The next question is from Sean. What are your thoughts on hiring during the pandemic?
Okay, what's my thoughts? Well, today we've just put out a divisional manager role, which is a very big role in the business. So I'm doing it. So I think, to be honest with you, I think it's a real window of an opportunity to employ the right people. And I'm looking at it as an opportunity.
Next one has come through anonymous. With a huge shift of focus going into hygiene in workplaces, do you think COVID-19 will have a positive, lasting impact on your business in the long term as well as the short term?
Yes. We've done healthcare cleaning, so we do understand the disinfection process as well. So we do know about that, where some cleaning companies may not have that background. But I think it will be very positive. It'll probably, in the nicest way, put in a bit more of accreditation in the cleaning industry, which I do think it does need, because it's such a low startup industry. It does sometimes have its own challenges with people entering the market and they haven't really got the experience, or they haven't done it in a certain way, or they haven't researched it. So sometimes then that causes us problems, especially when you're pricing, because it's so vast. But I do think overall it'll be an opportunity for the cleaning market, definitely.
Onsi says, great inspiring presentation. In a very competitive business like the cleaning industry, what makes your business stand out and be so successful?
Okay, so there's quite a few things. So we really, really look after our staff, our teams. So it's all about the little things. So we have employee journeys. We just treat them like our customer journeys. So employee journeys, making sure that they're having birthday cards. We do Star of the Month awards as well, where they get like view, cinema tickets, mugs, little gifts like that. And we do loads of shout outs to them on our Facebook, and we really we really push that a lot, because we want to push and we want to praise the teams for really great service awards. I think it's our marketing that makes us stand out, and it's our brand, and it's really we're creating our own way. Like the 1% of the billionaires and the millionaires in the world are the 98% of the other companies are all small business owners that usually employ under 5 members of their teams. So why would you want to copy everybody else? Just create your own way. And that's something that I've always tried to push in the business, try to be different, sometimes Marmite, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, just because it's a cleaning industry, you can still be personable. Even if we're going after big couple of $100,000 contracts, you can still have a little bit of fun with your marketing. You don't have to do it with a dry approach, and also be seen as professional, have really good referrals. So those things have definitely helped.
Next question is from Shuming. I run an online politics group for additional needs people. What top tips would you give me to build my online presence?
Sorry, can you say the last bit?
What top tips would you give to me to build my online presence?
So I would be clear first with who your target market is. So don't just go putting yourself out there straight away behind the scenes. Really work on, okay, who are my prospects? Where do they hang out? What do they do? Usually there'll be a certain platform. It might be Facebook, it might be LinkedIn, it might be Instagram. And then I would mold a plan together to go and attract and engage with those people. I would still, maybe in the next couple of months, still encourage, also, if you can afford it on a budget, direct mail as well, because direct mail is be seen to be really valuable now once you've obviously got your avatars right. But videos and really good online marketing.
Next one is from Denise. You mentioned about your marketing campaigns. Do you do these in-house or do you work with an outside agency? What do you think is best?
I've always used outside people in the business. We do stuff inside as well. I normally plan my year. So I've got a marketing calendar. We know the pinch points of the business, where people tend to make decisions financially for commercial clients. It tends to be a couple of times a year, end of budget year, that type of thing. After school holidays and New Year is usually another good time. So we plan it around that usually, but we do little things as well, and this is all about your network as well, and genuinely just being a nice person and being, you know, kind. So if anybody's done something really well, or if they've won an award or something like that, like I'm always kind of looking in, you know, a magazine or something, I'll send them like a little card in the post, because it's just lovely to even receive a card. And not many people do that these days. So that's something that I've always done. Those little things actually do make a real difference then when you go and see them in a networking group, you engage with them, and you get closer to people, and you genuinely champion women and guys as well, because it is hard running your own business. And I think, you know, we really need to champion more.
And we'll end on this question from Paul. He says, very interesting story. Certainly agree that as a business owner, you have to look after yourself first. Well-being is essential, and without that, it becomes increasingly difficult to manage others. How do you now ensure the well-being of both yourself and your employees?
Oh God, right, big question that is. Yes, there's quite a few things that I do. So well, before COVID, obviously, it was all about routine. I love a routine. So, obviously when you have children, you've got to, that's another spinning plate. So routine with the children is key. I got myself a PA. That was amazing. Couldn't live without my Michelle now, and she made a real big difference for me because it took away all the noise and I could really, really work productively. That was a good one. Before that, I actually had a virtual PA as well, and that was great. It was good because then I transitioned into a full-time person, so that helped my own well-being. I exercise, obviously try and eat healthy as much as I can without, today I've had a drive through McDonald's, so that was amazing. And I do personal things as well, like yoga, take time out. I've got a coach, always check in with my coach. I mean, half of the stuff is personal, checking in personally, because our life is all about balancing. So I do that. I'm strict with my phone as well. So got like rules, I suppose, in the house that certain people may not think that's great, but for me it works really well, especially in these times, like not having phone time and stuff, not lying in bed on my phone. That's something I don't do. And just genuinely, if I've got a problem, to just speak to people, having a network, and having space. Space is a big thing. Outdoors, I'll always go for a walk on the weekends with the kids and stuff. Run, like I'm going for a run tonight now, but just space, like cramming yourself in all the time. Like I know what that's like to do, but this space in your diary is really important because that's creative space, and actually you achieve so much more.
Rachael, thank you so much for joining us on this webinar today. I'm sure our audience would agree that was a great session. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone coming on. My platform that I tend to kind of hang out on the most is LinkedIn. So come and connect with me. And I hope you've learned even something small just to sort of take away. And yeah, thank you.
That's great. I have included Rachael's LinkedIn in the chat. So if you would like to connect with her, ask her any further questions, any copy of the slides or things like that, then you can reach her on there. Our next webinar in the Lockdown Learning for Business series takes place on Monday, the 22nd of June with School of Marketing as they discuss giving your marketing a jump start. If there is anything you'd like to catch up on from today's session, we'll be sending out a copy of the replay coming shortly. You can find the replay and all future webinars at www.freshbusinessthinking.heysummit.com or by clicking on the link in the comments. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you again, Rachael.
Thank you.